Amanda Coulong with TechZulu.com live here at the Alcatel-Lucent Lounge at South by Southwest. Dun, dun, dun. I am here right now with Coach Deb. I like to say Coach Deb because that's her Twitter handle. So how are you, Coach Deb?
You don't go by anything else other than a Twitter handle these days, right? No one cares about a last name, just the Twitter handle. But I'm awesome in Austin. I'm loving it.
Awesome in Austin. Well, that's interesting that you say that because you moved here.
I did. Got sick of Hawaii. You know, you can only...
Well, you were Hawaii, then San Diego for a little stint, and now Austin. So what made you come to Austin? South by Southwest?
South by Southwest, yes, I think so. Like, why not live here, right? Like, why try to get a hotel room? I wanted to move here just to be ready for South by.
Why get a hotel room?
That's definitely part, like, on the pro list. But yeah, it's become the huge tech capital of the world. This is becoming the new Silicon Valley. Actually, just read today on Facebook that Apple is investing here, and they're moving, first of all, investing and also moving a huge ton of employees here. So Facebook moved here about a year ago. They brought in like 200 employees. They've got a building right like 2 blocks up from where I am. My building is full of Facebook employees. So it's really cool just to be in the center. It's almost like having South by, but all year long. So I'm a South by.
I was wondering about that because I've never been to Austin when it's not South by Southwest Interactive. So tell us a little bit more then about what's going on in the Austin tech scene. Why should people think about it? Why should they pay attention? Why should they come here? Maybe even when it's not crazy for South by.
Yeah, well, it's funny, when I first came here, when it wasn't South by, I like walked into some of the really cool bars that we were at South by. I'm like, why isn't anyone here? And there were people here. It just wasn't crowded like wall-to-wall people, right? But yeah, I think if you want to be stimulated by bright minds in tech, a lot of startup companies, a lot of investors actually that are looking for startups. So it's there's a gentleman I know, Perry Belcher. He's actually looking to buy companies and invest in companies. He'll buy in, he'll work with them, and then he'll grow the company and then prepare it to sell. So yeah, there's just a lot of bright minds here, a lot of thinkers, and I just like being around that energy and that vibe. So yeah.
Any companies you want to call out here?
Call out like.
Just what are some of the startups that, or just general tech companies in Austin that are really hot right now, or that you particularly are fond of for whatever reason?
Other than my own company, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah. So actually, Better Networker. Jesse Jameson lives here. He may be on your show a little later. He runs the largest social network for network marketers, so home-based business owners. So it's betternetworker.com. And again, I'm into the whole like trends, right? So Twitter, I wrote the first book, 4 years ago on Twitter.
The first book on Twitter. You are looking at one of the authors right here.
It's funny too, because people are like, they'll say something on Twitter, like, yeah, it's kind of bad etiquette. They're like, what is there, a book on it? I'm like, yeah, kind of. But yeah, so I like seeing like trends. So there's Pinterest. That's another thing to really pay attention to right now. That's kind of the new Twitter, and Better Networker is the new social network for small-based business owners. So like those are the things that I like looking at, and then seeing how they grow. They've got good investors behind them as well. So good companies to look out for and join. Yeah.
Now, and what are you specifically focusing on now with your company here in Austin?
Yeah, and that's obviously a huge reason why I left the gorgeous beaches of Hawaii and came here, because there's definitely that stronger work ethic in building that empire. And I went from consulting to building software as a service, and that's where QuanSite was birthed. So it was like the Quan, just like Jerry Maguire. So it's the love, the respect, the community, right? The community, the tribes, and then the dollars too. So it's basically a software development company. It builds websites, blogs, and it automates social media for them. It puts them in a tribe that social bookmarks for people. So it gets them SEO automatically. So it's for the people that don't want to tinker around and build their own website. That's the site, and that's the solution that does it all for people. So it's awesome for like these small businesses, again, in Austin. So I'm just going to start pounding the pavement and knock on doors and go, hey, what kind of website you got?
And isn't it amazing in this day and age where you can start your company in Hawaii and then just bring it with you to Austin?
Yes, that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, it was cool going to Hawaii because you're building a business online, and hey, if you could live anywhere, why not live in Hawaii? And then yeah, it was it was great. It was 7 years, but then you get to that point where you go, where are the major thinkers? And Austin is definitely where the thinkers are, and I love it. And it's Silicon Valley. I think that's a great place for thinkers, but it's cold up there. So
hey, it's cold here right now. I'm sorry, but we've been talking about this all day long. It is raining cats and dogs out there. I mean, I love cats and I love dogs, but I don't want them on my head. And it's been thundering and lightning, and everyone's like, what's going on here? It rains in Austin?
I know. Well, I moved here this winter, and the first thing I bought in Austin was a winter down coat. That Eskimo coat over there. Yeah.
And we all need them right now.
Who knew? Who knew Austin would get freezing? But it does. well, 50. If 50 is freezing, and it's freezing for me. So yeah.
So who are you looking forward to seeing here? What sessions are you thinking about going to? Who are some of the people that you just want to bump into that always happens here at South by Southwest?
Oh, there's so many awesome people. I just ran into Derek Overby. Obviously, the guys from Blog World, Rick and Dave. Absolutely can't wait to see them. And then I think right after this interview, I think in about a half hour, the Google Plus conversation is happening. So that I'm really looking forward to talking.
So Deb, what are your thoughts on Google Plus?
I really liked it when it first came out, and I was excited about it, and I was there, and I was addicted. But I slowly, I don't know, I lost the passion and the excitement for it. So I don't know that it's necessarily going to be like the Twitter killer like they've talked about. I think Pinterest has a better possibility of doing that than Google Plus. But there are so many people that just love Google Plus. Again, it's one of those things where a lot of thinking people, so I learn a lot. I mean, that's why I got addicted to Twitter. I got on there, and there were always really good stories that I would learn from. Today, actually, the huge story on Twitter was the Kobe 2012. Have you seen that? And within 3 days, it's just gone haywire. And once again, it's because you log into Facebook, you log into Twitter, you get your news report. Funny thing is, my nephew, I went back for the holidays, and he's like, "Oh, do you have a computer?" He comes to my sister's house, and we're preparing for the holidays, and there's food. And he's like, "Yeah, I need an internet. I need to check the news." And I'm like, "Oh, so where do you check the news these days?" Here's this kid, he's all excited about checking the news. You know what he tells me? Huh. Facebook. His news, right? He's like, "It says my news." I'm like, "You're right."
That's scary because news on Facebook, and this is an issue that I have as a journalist, I'm looking at the news feed on Facebook, I'm looking even at Google search results, and they're all so skewed toward things that you like, and they filter things out that may be against your perceptions of things. And I like to have some dissonance there. I like to have some critical thinking skills, and the way that we search right now and the way that we get our news is kind of taking that away from us.
Well, it's our bias. Instead of the news journalist bias, it's our bias. So I think that's why I like following people that I don't necessarily say subscribe to their beliefs, just to see what other people are talking about that may not be in my tribe or my camp. And I think that's important. You don't just follow the people that you love and like and respect. You follow people that are perhaps a little more controversial, that are going to give you stories that you're not necessarily going to be exposed to. So I think it's an important, but it's a conscious decision to do that. So
yeah, and I think for me with Google Plus specifically, the killer for me is that I have multiple Google accounts for Gmail. And my Google Plus account is attached to one of those email accounts, which means I have to be logged into that account in order to use Google Plus, which is really silly in my opinion. A lot of people have multiple Google accounts. So I know, there's other stuff going on in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but yeah, there's other stuff going on here.
But yeah, that's a challenge, I think, and that's why I think people struggle with Google, because you can have so many Google accounts, but then where do you join Google Plus? And you might have some people joining you on one of your accounts that you don't really use, and then it seems like you're ignoring them or you're not participating. So yeah, your reputation is kind of on the line, in my opinion. It's like, I'm not ignoring you, I just don't see it. So your online profile is ignoring you, but I'm not personally ignoring you. But yeah, that's an issue. Yeah.
Well, anything else that you want to bring up about South by Southwest or before we go?
Actually, just real quick, like TechZulu, have you talked about you guys on here? Like, what have you guys been up to? 4 years is really exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary back in LA. We had a massive party on the rooftop of a venue called 1010 Wilshire, which is a live workspace in downtown LA. And we had all sorts of people there, from venture capitalists to other media people, entrepreneurs, angel investors. It was wonderful, government folks. But yeah, we're doing a lot. We're live streaming like this all of the time. We have our own event series called TechZulu Spotlight Series, where we sort of do a news digest of some of the hot innovations that are coming out of the LA tech community, and we're hoping to expand that to other places. So yeah, lots of live coverage, lots of trade show coverage, and just really covering the underdogs, or covering the people that don't have the PR budget, that don't have, the megaphone out there yet, and really trying to uncover those genuine new technologies that are going to change things. That's really our focus. So if you have one of those, get in touch with us.
Very cool. So then I don't have to travel all around and go to these expos. I can just tune into TechZulu.com and watch you guys.
Little did I know I had my own PR person right here.
No, it's really exciting. Congrats. And hello to everyone out there that's watching and listening. Thank you. This is cool. You got a great following. It's been fun watching you over the years. I'm like, there's TechZulu again.
Well, thank you, Coach Deb. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at Coach Deb.
Aloha. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you soon.
Okay, bye.